Good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Let me thank my panelist, esteemed panelist, who decided to join me on stage. Thanks to them as well. From morning, we were discussing a variety of subjects, from geopolitics to counterfeit drugs, from supply chain, supply versus demand disruptions, to we are discussing a variety of subjects, including the infrastructure gaps in Kolchi. Now, we are getting into the final and the fifth panel discussion of the day. What we are going to discuss here is about the domestic pharmaceutical supply chain of India. You see, one statement, one common statement that I hear a lot in any of these panels is that India is the pharmacy to the world. What we are going to discuss here is how good we are at delivering these medicines to the Indian pharmacies. That's, I believe, a very important subject to cover. Before I start with the questions, I want to put out a few numbers. It's not a big intro that I have planned, but a few numbers I have noticed which made me to decide on this panel, to have this subject for this panel. Now, pharma contributes to about 1.7% of India's GDP. According to the data from the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers, Indian pharmaceutical industry is valued at $50 billion US dollars. Okay? That's a good number to start with. Now, of that total market of $50 billion US dollars, 23.5 billion US dollars is domestic consumption. It's close to half of the total market, which makes it very important, very significant, which is compared to the export market of 26.5 billion US dollars. That's one reason why we decided to do this panel on the domestic Indian consumption of pharmaceuticals. Now, this market is really going to grow. It's projected to grow by 2047, close to around 450 billion US dollars. And of course, a very significant percent of this will be domestic consumption and the domestic market. I have a very good number of experts on panel who have significant years of experience in dealing with the Indian domestic pharmaceutical movements. Imagine the movement of pharmaceuticals from the manufacturing plant to a mother warehouse, from there to regional warehouses, from there to distributors, from there retailers, retail pharmacies, hospitals. The people who are sitting with me have significant years of experience in handling those movements. Okay. Now, a few more numbers. The Indian pharma sales grows 170 to 180 billion units every year of pharma. The industry offers 60,000 generic brands across 60 therapeutic categories. Of this, antibiotics are the biggest category by volume, and the cardiovascular and the diabetes drugs are the fastest growing. Now, India consumes 2.3 billion vaccine doses every year. There are 60,000 active pharmaceutical distributors in the country. There are 6 to 9 lakh retail pharmacies in India. These numbers give you a picture of how big and how significant and how important this market that we are going to talk about right now. Now, there are several factors contributing to the growth of this industry, the domestic industry. You can talk about the production-linked incentive there, PLI scheme. You can talk about the universal healthcare access that we are planning to have completely by 2047. Various other factors, including the rising GDP and the healthcare spending, all boost this market. But the single most important thing on the top of mind for all of my speakers right now is the GST reforms that just happened. So we'll be discussing that in between. Before that, I will start by asking my panel members to introduce themselves very briefly, who they are, and the company they represent, and why they are really in this particular panel. Maybe I will start with Rajesh.
Yeah.
Rajesh.
Good evening, all. Myself, Rajesh Neve. I work for Zuventus Healthcare Limited. So during this panel, I will try to give my perspective of the last mile, especially in domestic market of pharmaceuticals.
Okay, thank you, Rajesh. Anand.
Hi, I'm Anand Prasad, having more than 2 decades experience in pharma logistics supply chain. I'm from JB Pharma. Today I'll be touching the topics that is how logistic can help us to grow our chronic segment, which is the more demand right now. And also we'll touch the points of GST, which you mentioned, because day in, day out, from last week, we all supply chain guys are working on GST.
Thank you, Anand. Gaurav.
Hi everyone, Gaurav Bhatia this side, representing Shalina Healthcare, and disclaimer that views are all my personal and I do not represent the views of and they may not represent the views of the organization. We'll be talking about, I think Libin already mentioned good data points on the domestic pharma industry, and rightly said, it contributes almost 55% of the overall pharma market which India represents, and that's why India is still the global hub, but the major contributor is domestic itself. We do not give it the due importance we should. I think we always talk about a lot in terms of exports, in terms of regulated markets, but I think this market or the own home country even needs equal importance, if not more. So we'll be deep diving on how differentiated and fragmented these markets are, or this subcontinent is, and happy to have builds and questions from the audience as well. Thank you.
That is exactly the purpose of this particular panel. Thank you. Let me go to Chintan.
So first of all, thanks Libin and to the organizers for having us over here. It's a very interesting topic, and my name is Chintan Ghiya. I'm from Sanofi Consumer, and a disclaimer that all views are my own personal and not representing anything on the company behalf. And continuing to the fact that some of the numbers which Libin mentioned, right? So we are a country of more than 1 billion people, right? And that's where, the importance of logistics to ensure that the healthcare, the vision of, which the current government has to make it, affordable and available to each and every individual of the country. The logistics is going to play a very big role. And that's where, we'll be speaking briefly about, some of the challenges, the practical challenges which the industry is facing. And since we have service providers as well, what are some of the collaborative ways through which we can work with them to ensure that healthcare reaches to the last mile. Briefly, as Anand mentioned, that ever since the GST announcement has happened, everyone is just scratching their heads to figure out what's the right way to ensure that the benefits pass on to the end consumers. So we can speak about some of the challenges and what companies are doing to ensure that the rate change comes into effect on 22nd of September. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Chintan. Pabitra.
Good evening, everybody. I am Pabitra Mohan Panda. I represent company TCI Express Limited. We are present in almost all districts of India, in 750 districts. And in this August panelist, I am the only service provider. And the challenges which in India we face, the infrastructure and all, the pharma companies, we are working since more than 25 years. I have got more than 2 decades experience. And this topic itself is very interesting. And whatever questions will be there, whatever challenges we are facing, and the benchmarks and all, what companies like JB Chemicals, or Sanofi, Intas Pharma, Global Pharma, they are asking us to go extra mile and do something better every time for our consumers in India. As a company, we do practice all those things to meet the government regulatory requirements, as well as also we would like to see that our general public, they get the good health medicines in the right temperature, in the right time, and with a proper tracking system. And it's a privilege to be part of this honored panelist. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Pabitra. As you rightly mentioned, you are the only solutions provider in the panel. So we all will be looking forward to your words, your solutions out there. Thank you. The first part of the panel will start talking about the challenges out there in the Indian domestic pharma logistics, pharma supply chain. Before that, let me do an audience poll very quickly. We will put out a very poll. Yes, we have a poll here. Please scan these QR codes and do your poll. The question is, what is the single biggest bottleneck in India's domestic pharma logistics today? We would like to know what you really think before each of my shippers would mention their challenges. I have people joining in.
100%.
No, just one poll right now. Yeah. We just started. We only have 5 people right now. I would like to have more people. Would be great if you can contribute to this poll. Thank you. I will give you little more time, few more seconds. Still, last mile delivery is the biggest one. Yes, last mile delivery
Last
is
mile
one.
delivery is a...
Yeah. Okay, so let's lock this poll. Let's lock this poll. We'll finish. We have 22 people joined us. The question is about what is the single biggest bottleneck in India's domestic pharma logistics today. We got last mile delivery, blind spots, just 59% of vote. And the fragmented distributor network is the 23%, and then forecasting 9%, cold chain reliability 9%. Okay, so keep this in mind. Definitely, it goes along with what you have already mentioned to me. So that's great to start with. But Rajesh, let me start with you. You represent Zuventus Healthcare. The company has a significant reach in Indian domestic pharma market. You handle, once your manufacturing is done, you handle it from there till it reaches the hospital or the retail pharmacies. That's your responsibility. When I last spoke to you, what you mentioned to me is the last mile and the challenges there. Tell me about what are your challenges there.
Okay, so we'll go to the survey first. So the fragmented network probably, as per me, is a need for this particular business, because this business caters to the healthcare practitioners. And to be closer to them, you need a lot of stock points. So fragmented network is a characteristic of pharma industry, which we have to live with. And it's beneficial, working fine for last probably 50, 60 years, even I don't know how many long years. So applaud to all those fraternities working in this entire chain. Coming to the last mile part of it. So let's understand landscape of last mile in this industry. So lakh or 1.2 lakhs give and take wholesalers, 8 to 9 lakhs of retail chemists, hospital pharmacies, now Jan Aushadhis, and of course there are semi-wholesalers coming in the network. All this gamut put together with no common technological platform, different competencies, and of course, different understanding of the business. This gives the last mile a more misty look. When I say misty look, it's more or less in terms of 3 to 4 points. Let us explore all these points one by one. Sequence may change depending what comes to my mind. So number one is outreach of data and communication. So to give like example, GST, what we have been grappling right now. We have been told as a mandate that all the MRPs to reach the lowest level of the chain before 22nd. I'm sure no company has a uniform way of doing it. They will do it, but they don't have uniform way of doing it. How do I reach the lowest level? Every person will explore and experiment with a trust that that MRP will flow down to the lowest level and that will be passed on to the customer or a patient. If I want to launch a new product, giving information of the new product to the lowest level. Again, everyone explores their own channels. Again, a trust comes in, and then I believe that my last person knows of the new molecules. So I'm saying outreach in terms of data and communication is a misty area in terms of last mile. Secondly, coming to lag of decision making in some critical business processes. In pharma, the most undesired process is the callback for many reasons. It can be quality, it can be price restructuring as we see in GST now. So I take at least 5 to 10 days to identify where my stock is. If at all I identify, I have to reach the person, catch hold of him, tell him the importance, get that stocks back. Probably decision making gets laggard in this particular phase, and the impact can be on patient as well as commercially. Third is the inventory obsolescence part of it. How? Many reasons again. So attrition happens in a marketing area. The stocks are at shelf of the retailer or a wholesaler or a hospital chemist. I am not having visibility to it, number one. Number two, FIFO, that is first expiry, first out. Again, we work on trust. We believe that systems at the chemist or a hospital pharmacy are so robust, they will follow the FIFO. But sometimes it cripples. So I come to know during some audit of the last mile person that he is having expiry stock in his shelf, which I have to get back. Imagine if that goes by chance to a patient. Dreadful situation. Coming back to me, unplanned cost for me as a manufacturer. So again, FIFO is not followed at the last mile. And probably last but not the least is the training part of it. If we approach these people, their competencies needs to be enhanced in the same way that a SOP or a GDP, whatever guidelines are given, they should be anticipated and understand the same way across the last mile, which probably is a blink possibility as of now. Having said that, all this accumulates in terms of commercial losses as well as patient safety issues. Okay. That is how the last mile looks as of me for now.
Okay, Rajesh, thanks for taking us through the multiple challenges there. We'll get back to you particularly on the solutions on that as well. Now, let me go to Chintan. Chintan, the reason why I'm coming to you is because when I spoke to you, you mentioned very similar challenges, plus particularly the last mile, but bit different. Take me through what you face. What are your things on your top of your mind?
Sure. So I agree, whatever I heard from my fellow panelists, and to further add to it, okay. So one of the things which has amazed me always the most is that we have been as a country have been able to develop vaccines, COVID vaccine, right, in a record time, been able to deploy it, right. Now I have my service provider sitting next to me, okay. One simple question which most of us always struggle to answer is, where is my truck? Okay. So, and this I'm talking of the primary movements, means from the factory to the hub, to the CFAs, and from the CFAs back to the distributor. So if you see within the primary movement itself, right, we don't have a very clear visibility defined. Just imagine, what's going to happen on the second mile. The previous panel, spoke a lot about, the cold chain and, some of the solutions and which, are being planned. Now, as I mentioned at the start, right, that, the country of more than 1 billion people, and where still a lot of people are still residing in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities. How are products reaching to them? That's one of the major, concerns that we have. Now with this entire GST change coming up, right, there's a lot of discussion going on that, what do we do about the market inventory? At least, on a typical average pharma company may have, right around 45 to 60 days of inventory at any given point of time. Now, do we even have the complete visibility of where this inventory is sitting to track and see that, from post 22nd, is the MRP changed or not? While, the companies will issue all the circulars, everyone will, the new price list will go out, but is it really implemented or not? How do we track it? How do we get a sense of it? Another very important piece, which I see is that, with pharma contributing, referring to Libin's number, at least, close to around 20-25 billion dollars business. So imagine in terms of, the packaging material which is going out, right? And also, the reverse logistics piece which is happening. So that's where, there's a big piece of, how, purely from the costing standpoint, that how the overall cost, both, the forward one and then the reverse one can be reduced, which will actually help, bring the overall logistics cost from the country standpoint as well. When we, track as part of all the national logistics policies, the logistics cost as percentage to GDP and so on. Another important piece also, which comes into place is that, with a fragmented distributor network. I was reading one study which says that, even for, the products which are above 8 degree or, about 25 degree, just because purely of the temperature excursions which are happening, there are losses which are ranging in 25 to 30%. So these are some of the real practical challenges which I see, purely from the forward supply chain, and more particularly from the last mile, which is from the distributor leg to the retailer. And that's where, with all the advanced technological solutions like, again, those are also in bits and pieces. So that's another challenge. The cost of implementing those solutions is also concerned. Now, if you see also from the Indian pharma manufacturing landscape, I don't know if there is an exact number also which is available, because, a lot of companies will, manufacturing one single product and then, and it goes out in the market. Now, with the scale of, also the manufacturing as well, which is also very, very fragmented, okay, there is no standard solution which is in place to address most of the concerns which, I mentioned and my fellow panelists also mentioned. So we need a solution, there are some things going on in pilot, be it in terms of, blockchain, some of the IoT-based real-time tracking solutions. Few of the companies are already trying to track it. It's happening more on the cold chain and maybe on the export piece. But slowly this piece needs to be, integrated more from the logistics, on the logistics side, purely from the local India supply standpoint.
Okay. Thanks for taking us through that. Definitely, the fragmentation is definitely a big challenge, and visibility is a necessity. Let me come to Anand. So let's take this. Right now, we are talking about the particular challenges in the domestic supply chain. But when I spoke to you last, you mentioned few fundamental changes that is happening in the Indian pharma market. That is, the therapy patterns are shifting from acute to chronic. Take me through that. What is the impact of that on logistics and supply chain?
Okay, so interesting point, how pharma is changing from acute to chronic segment because of the lifestyle expectations and the way we are now having our lifestyle, sedimentary lifestyle. Most of us have diabetic, high blood pressures. So chronic is a segment which is now ruling the pharma industry. Earlier, antibiotics, cough syrups, seasonal medicines were there. Availability of chronic medicines across the PIN code is a challenge because it's driven by prescription. Chronic medicines are driven by the prescriptions which the doctors write based on the availability of the medicines. So any brand which is off the counter loses the prescription. Today, in India, we have small scale distributors. Not a big size distributors are really available in the tier 2 and tier 3 segments. So here the challenges are, one, how to do the forecasting, because forecasting is not a seasonal or not a scheme driven. It is totally driven by the prescriptions of the medicines. So track and trace of the prescriptions and track and trace of the medicines is important over here. Second is availability, which is obviously a challenge because of too frequent dispatches will take place and which will involve logistic cost, and we have to ensure the right time, the right medicines are there. So OTIF in this particular case should be 98% or 99% for the pharma distribution KRA. Over here, the challenge that I also see is, one, counterfeit medicines, which you all must have read in the recent newspapers that what is happening in the northern side. So track and trace, the barcode, the GS1 barcode, has to be mandatory for these chronic segments of medicines. Second is the compliances. Now, most of the chronic medicines, obvious insulins comes under there, are controlled temperature sensitive medicines. As a supply chain, I can ensure my warehouse is compliant with the temperature. I can even take the responsibility of first level, which is my distributors. But what happens to it when it moves to distributors to the retailers? Today, if we see the retailers across every society, they are keeping the medicines in the deep freezer. Deep freezer is not 2 to 8 degree. The freezer that they have is not 2 to 8 degree. So are they complying with the norms of the medicines? That's a challenge that is coming up. Yes, improvements are there. Statutory wise, compliances, they are doing it, but a long way to go. There is, as such, there is no reverse logistics in cold chain. So whatever medicines comes back as a reverse is an unsellable medicine. It's a cost. So how I would request my partner sitting on my left side if he can help us to work out some reverse logistics. Also, the packaging of cold chain. Today, typically, a thermocol box with ice gels is being used. Can we have some mechanisms where we have a reverse logistics of the packing material also once it gets dropped at the retail or the doctor's chamber? So these are the quite good challenges. Yes, obviously, day by day, everything is improving. We have seen a long way in this journey. And I hope with the technology support, today track and trace with the GS1, we can do it. The track and trace for the vehicles, the GPS or the AI-enabled vehicles are also available with the partners who can help us to track the consignment. So we don't need to ask them, ki mera truck kahan hai? Today, TMS, transport module solutions are available. You can track it from there where the vehicles is. So gate pass, gate in, everything can be done. So this is something is improving. But yes, as a supply chain, as a distribution person, I find this is actually a day-to-day challenge, which we are overcoming it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for taking us through all those challenges, particularly the counterfeit medicines. For example, my colleague Rajesh just organized a very interesting panel. We'll be putting out videos of all these panels in YouTube. So I'm looking forward to that. Before I come to Pabitra, Gaurav, here we were talking a lot about the last mile challenges over there, but one thing that you were really emphatic about was the forecasting side of it. Okay, you said there are some gaps. Take us through that.
Sure. So before directly kind of jumping on the gaps, I think we have to understand the entire perspective, and I think if that is clear, by virtue of data, I think then we will understand the gaps and move to the solution for that. So India as a geography, as a domestic, if I talk about domestic market, so very, very fragmented. 4 regions, if I talk about, again, behave very differently. South, for example, is the diabetes capital of India. Sales of entire South, so when I talk about India sales, roughly around 55% of the overall pharma sale that we have comes from domestic itself. Out of that, 40-45% alone comes from South. Diabetes capital of India, allergy capital of India, largely Bangalore, Karnataka. Third, in terms of, if I talk about generics capital of the core GX portfolio, UP is the capital of India. So again, very, very fragmented. Close to around 4,000 pin codes that we service or cater to. We have almost a warehouse in every state, somewhat benefits of consolidation by virtue of GST. and the number of SKU that we deal is not few hundreds or thousands, but huge in millions. As per last IMS data that I remember, again, out of this entire portfolio that I'm talking about, roughly 60-65% of the portfolio is led by the acute therapy. Out of that, number one brand that I remember is Augmentin, way ahead by the second competitor. So amoxi and potassium clavinate combination, top selling antibiotic. Now you have to understand the difference between the therapy areas and as an organization, like I've worked with earlier with Cipla, which deals almost in 17 therapeutic areas. So again, a huge complexity in terms of managing acute, managing chronic, managing respiratory, gastrointestinal, pediatric, gynec, opthal, etc. So I think it's very challenging for any organization of the scale that we are dealing with to manage the number of SKUs with the right forecast accuracy and at the right point. So expectation of from the supply chain of the consumer is very clearly, if I have to talk about 3 pillars, is ARV, agility, resilient, and visibility of my shipment, right? So that's the customer. When I say customer, it's not the end consumer or the patient, but the retailer, the wholesaler, the distributor, everybody in the pipeline. They are our core customer for supply chain standpoint. So to service that on time, at the right place with the right stock, we need to have a right forecast, definitely. Now, supply chain deals a lot in terms of understanding these numbers day in, day out, but definitely we also do not have a magic wand. So it's with the close collaboration, I think, is very, very important with the business team members. I think that's the first and foremost. Second, a lot of digital tools these days are helping us in terms of understanding the stochastic, or you can say the quantitative forecast accuracy, which by virtue of history. Now again, like in the stock market or the mutual fund, we hear that the history is not the right prediction or not the right thing to go for the future also. Same ways, that will give you some indicative guidance of what you can predict or preempt and forecast. But I think the key lies in terms of close collaboration. Another important or key challenge, if I may say, is the understanding of your overall market. The team members need to not just kind of, they are used to sitting in head office and away from ground realities. So while I think on a jibe I'm saying that, but I think that's one of the very, very key challenge or aspect to understand the business, to understand what is happening on ground. You may think that you are one of the top organization, but almost every day or every week, there's a new organization coming in the market, and they are kind of very aggressively playing in the market, and that also you have to be very careful. How can you be more agile, right? So I think that's very important. And last but not the least, in terms of understanding how the doctor's prescriptions behave, right? So every market behaves very differently. Somewhere it is very clearly the product, the quality, the medical reps visiting. Somewhere it's in a different practice that governs the prescription process, right? So all these kind of add up to the forecast accuracy, and I think business, as always, will always be very, very aspirational, right? So the sales team, when they deal with supply chain, they always have an aspiration. They have an aspiration of growing by 20%, 30%. But in reality, when you see by data, that's not true. How do you marry the aspirations of the sales team, of the marketing team, with the reality of the data? I think that also is a very big challenge. And if you say no and God forbid if the reality turns true, you will be stock out. So I think that leads to another very big challenge. How do you then deal or firefight in terms of those stock outs? Again, you have those mechanisms in terms of building your stock to norms and rightly defining your the norms of the finished good as well as of the raw materials, APIs, etc. But I think that's a very, very important play in terms of fine balance. And again, to quote a data here, 3 to 5% of the pharma organization still incur sales loss by virtue of not having their stock at the right point, and almost 8 to 12% of the sales we have or the pharma organization incur having extra stock or overstocking. So how do you balance between the stock out part and the excess inventory? I think that's a very, very fine balance which you can deal with your agility on the forecast accuracy or right forecast accuracy, and how do you navigate agility on the supply side of it. So I think balancing between the two is a bigger science and art together.
Okay, certainly it is very important to have the supply chain executives get close to the ground realities. Also, thanks for giving us that perspective of the grand scale of Indian pharma and the regional specializations. Let me come to Pabitra. You're the Chief Business Officer of TCI Express. TCI Express has a market share of 10% of the total Indian express logistics market. Take us through how you respond to some of the challenges faced by the shippers. What they are asking for is reliability, control of its supply chain. Please.
Thank you. See, TCI Express by name, we are reckoned with trust, reliability. How we have built up, we have design, it is by design by our promoters. We work with our own branch network. We do not work with any franchise type model. We invest a lot on those branches, infrastructures. Then we have people like me. I have been in this company last 27 years. I started as a supervisor. Now I am serving company as a chief business officer. So what it means, people who are there, they are passionate about the company. And what company does, company gives service to the customers. So people understand the need of the customers. And coming to the question, it's the blind spot, last mile delivery blind spot. I will address to that. While picking up the consignment, now the digital, all the consignments are prepared digitally at the customer's place. And as my Sanofi friend said, that where my vehicle is, yes, it's always a nightmare where your vehicle is. So all my vehicles which are utilized in my network, it is roughly 6,000 presently, it is growing. All are GPS fitted and all are our own contractual, long-term contractual vendors. We say them vendors or business associates. We are a asset-light company, but those vehicles which are running on the road are all our vendor associated on a long-term basis. Those all are GPS fitted, containerized vehicle, and we used to have a health checkup of those vehicles before loading every time at each and every location. So when those material, whatever, suppose I picked up from a location, say Mumbai, so the material at the time of pickup, so once it is loaded into my vehicle, then you can just trace which vehicle it is loaded and where it is standing, because it is GPS enabled. And once the consignment note is prepared in your warehouse, it is available on the website. Till it is delivered, when it is out for delivery even from my last mile branch, suppose it is being delivered from Ranchi, so last mile branch, then once you prepare the delivery challan, the business associate goes for delivery 60 kilometers away from Ranchi, the vehicle is GPS fitted, you can track where the material is moving. So the traceability of the consignment is there, and it is sustainable model we are doing because we are adding our own branches as per the requirement of our customers. As and when our customers' requirement goes, we add a new branch in that territory. Otherwise, in India, normally we serve around 8,000 pin codes as serviceable, 27,000 pin codes overall. We keep on adding more and more pin codes into our serviceable network. And it is by design. How? There is invest a lot on our technology. It is our own in-house technology. Through this, we also provide dashboard to our customers whereby they can see how many consignments they have given to us, which are out for delivery today, which are in transit, which are arrived at branch and not delivered, or which are lying at my sorting centers. Everything, every transaction is digitally captured and shown transparently to my customers. So they can see it and understand how my company is doing. And with their inputs, we keep on gradually improving all those areas. And considering the present AI technology, we are also improving our own network, whereby fast track how we deliver the last mile delivery, because earlier we used to deliver all consignments from our own historical way of delivering, because drivers do not use that time Google. Now everything is through AI. So we capture, because in B2B express logistics, we deliver more than 80% consignments again and again to the same location. So we have those GPS, the latitude and longitude of that location, so our people know which is the shortest route and when they can deliver. So precisely we can say, I can deliver to Anand sir's JB Chemicals consignment 1 o'clock at Ranchi, this location, half an hour mistake maximum. Any new location comes, we keep on adding those longitudes and latitudes in our network for the next time delivery. When it comes to B2C delivery, still we have challenges, and with the use of AI, I believe we can also precisely capture those locations, because we are also doing pharma, medicine representatives, those promo materials, which are huge in numbers. In a month, we do around 20% of our business from pharma. So thanks to all pharma communities that we are growing with the help of these pharma communities, and with this type of input, it gives us more insight where I should work more. Coming to cold chain, we are not doing much in cold chain. Our parent company, cold TCI cold chain, they are doing more on the cold chain part. We are doing cold chain in mostly container-based point-to-point delivery, not in hub and spoke model. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Interesting observations, interesting solutions. Thank you for taking us through that. We'll get back to you more on this. Now, let us quickly go to the GST reforms right now. That's a very important topic. Lot of the shippers who promised to come here, they all got busy because of just the GST reforms, and their teams are also really busy because of this. Particularly to Rajesh, Anand, and Chintan, I want to ask this question. Two things. One, how it is going to really change the pharma market, how it is impacting the pharma companies. Also, what is the impact on the logistics side, the freight side?
So Anand, I will start.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Thank you. Pharma industry is a champion in all these transitions. So you have Y2K. I don't know how many young faces remember that. When Y2K 2000, when systems were changed, then we had pandemic, then we had GST, and now GST 2.0. So we are used to this, and we are well versed, and we work in the spirit of serving the customer, that is the patient, number one. Number two, things are evolving as of now. So too early to comment on anything, but what I can say is that crores of units to be stickered, humongous task, deadline 22nd. Third thing, financially, manufacturer of the industry will be always balancing between patient care and the trade, so that no one loses their stake, and the entire trust in the pharma fraternity, patient, doctors remains intact in spite of this change. Briefly speaking on the tax part of it, my view goes input tax credit still is a challenge for manufacturers. A lot of input tax credit will be still piling up because inputs are still at 18%, and the output, that is FG, will be finished goods will be 5%. That equation is still to be balanced. But right now, if I am right, the entire pharma industry is working towards ensuring that the patient gets low price, good medicines after 22nd.
Okay, Anand.
Yeah, so just continuation from where he stops. As far as the current inventory which is available in the market, I divide this inventory into medical devices and medicines. So medical devices, there is a clear guidelines that stickering is required to sell. It's not, you don't need to remove the earlier MRP, but you can print the new MRP and you can sell it. There's a 90 days window to liquidate the existing stocks, and the fresh manufacturing can start once the notified date is there, once the notification is there. Coming to the medicine side, still there is no clarity on the relabeling. Assumptions is there, and I refer to the section 64 of NPPA, DOP, Drugs and Cosmetic Act, which says that till the time manufacturers ensures the compliance of the pricing, restickering and relabeling is not mandatory. But ensure is a big term, how we ensure this. So few steps that as an organization that we are going to do is, and which I would request the pharma fraternity to follow. One is the circulations of the price list. It's in the hard copy, soft copy, do a mass messaging to the retailers, put your price list on your company website, put it on the government portal, go for even for the press release that the company have followed the norms of this. As such, anti-profiteering law is not there, but the statement of the government is the benefit should come to the end user, and end user is over here is patient. So today they will not come back to us saying that anti-profiteering, but we never know on what ground they can come us. The state drug license authority, the state authorities are keeping a tab of the current MRP and the new MRP that will be there. So it is important that we ensure all the channel partners have the proper informations of the MRP. Coming to the logistics side, first 10 days, the logistic partners have to ensure that they are on top of service. They have to ensure the availability of the medicines, because if we have to take back the stocks and replace it with new manufacturing, we will make our partners' life painful because we need the medicines. It's a quarter ending, it's a month end. So, Pavitra ji,
Yes.
be prepared of it. Second
Certainly.
side is, in terms of logistics, GST, to the little of my knowledge I can just share. The channel partners who were on RCM, the reverse charge mechanism, is there going to be an impact? The answer is, as of now, no clarity. But those who were taking the import credit on the vehicle purchases, the trucks purchases or any sort of vehicles they purchase for the business use, yes, the tax structure has come down. So they will have the benefits of the import credit will lie there, and we will have to see how that input is utilized. In terms of infrastructure, petrol is anyway, diesel component, fuel component is out, so nothing is there, no impact. I cannot ask them to reduce my freight. But yes, with the reductions in GST, we'll have to see how the industry takes place, how the partners work on it. But it will take a time. It's not that overnight we can ask them for reduction in freight cost.
गाड़ी दे दी पेट्रोल नहीं दिया.
So it's exactly the same thing. Service-wise, they will have to look into it. All non-finished goods means APIs and all remains the same. So for manufacturing company, there will be a credit accumulation that will take place, because I will buy API at 18% and finished goods output is 5%. So that will there, we have to see. There is a window of refund mechanism also drafted. So let's see how it unfolds. But right now, the important is implementations of new MRP and ensurance of the awareness with our channel partners. So that's the supply chain team is busy on this.
Okay, understood. Before Chintan, Pabitra, do you want to respond to any of?
Yes, yes, certainly. See, Anandji, as a question to me, we as a logistics, express logistics company, we are covered under 18% GST. So there is no impact of GST on us. But coming to my customers, there will be some 18 to some 12% to 5% or 5% to nil GST, as government is exempting some medicines also. So you will be passing on to common man, all public. So in my value chain, my suppliers who are supplying me the vehicles, there is a reduction from 28% to 18%. So earlier they are also getting input credit, now also they will be getting input credit. Whereas if you don't input credit, we analyze in our company, we analyze just 2 days back, how this is going to affect my customers also. So there may be a gap, you may get 18% of bill from our side, whereas you may also consume 5% from your side. There is, as Anand said, there is a window. Government is paying you 90% of that within 30 days. You can take the refund. So I believe that will help solve the problem of my customers.
Okay.
And my partners who are paying earlier 28%, now they will be paying 18%. So thereby they will be having, I have checked, per kilometer basis if they run in a year around 1,20,000 kilometer, if they run or roughly 1 lakh kilometer they run, they will be having a benefit of 4,368 rupees roughly, 4,500 rupees benefit they will get in a year on a smaller vehicle of 5-ton capacity. That's what we worked out. So this benefit, how will work out in the value chain and pass on to my customers, that we'll see. Thank you.
Libin, this is a cocktail topic, so let us discuss that.
Thank you, Pabitra. Very interesting observation, interesting comments. Chintan.
Sure. So, see, a lot of points Anand and Rajesh has covered. So, one of the points which I say is the biggest challenge, and particularly coming from our customers, is that the blockage of their working capital, because they were used to purchasing at 12% and now they will have to purchase at 5%. And depending on how their purchase patterns are according to the company, right? There were some estimations being done that it may take, let's say, depending on the further margins they are passing on to the retailers, may take, let's say, from 9 months to I don't know how long. So that's going to be one of the major concerns which I see, that where there may be some queries coming back and forth that, oh, I'm incurring a loss and so on. So that's one part of it. The other part of it also, what we see the biggest challenge is that in terms of how do you settle the credit notes for the breakage expiries? Now you have done everything at 12%. Now sir, you are moving to 5% and in few specific cases to 0% as well. So now while your systems are upgrading, your batches are moving to 5% and you'll get it at a 12%. So how does your system respond to it? And that's where we are seeing some of the I've been speaking with the pharma supply chain leads of the other companies, and that's where a lot of confusion is there. How do we actually do it? This entire thing around this stickering part, that how do you actually reduce the MRP? Now while stickering as an option, maybe that if your product size is big, but if you see really for the small ampoules or the small vials, how do you even actually sticker it? Well, government expects that and the word ensured is used, that the price passes to the end consumer. But then there are practical challenges in terms of implementing this at a ground level. And as we speak, there are no clear guidelines as well, whether they are actually required to be done or not. Now, as Anand mentioned that, every pharma company is required to issue a new price list, giving a comparison between an old and a new one, right? There can be circulars which can be given, through email communications, maybe through advertisement across, through different channels. But is it really reaching to the end consumer or to the patient who's buying the medicine? Right, because you have on the pack the price has not changed, right? So these are some of the practical challenges which I see will be there. I was in a conference a few days back where almost entire pharma supply chain team was there, and for the companies who are a lot into importing products and selling it. Now they have batches ready. We are sitting maybe somewhere in Europe or in US or maybe in Singapore, or wherever they are importing. Now those products will be in transit. Now what do you do with it? Because they will be coming with the existing MRP, not with the new one. And this entire process of changing, the artwork and everything has its own lead. So I see there will be some confusion and challenges which will be there in the market for, let's say, maybe at least for another 4 to 5 months, I believe.
Okay. Interesting.
In summary, if I may say, there will be a lot of challenges, all spoke about, but as supply chain leaders, we have dealt with bigger challenges, so I think this will also sail through.
We will deal with this as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So we'll move on to the next part of the panel discussion. We don't have much time left, but we will do a poll very quickly. We have a poll. We'll try to focus a bit more on the solution side. We spoke a lot about the challenges. What are the solutions that we have? That's what the focus is right now. Which ongoing trend offers the greatest promise for transforming India's domestic pharma logistics in the next 3 to 5 years? Please vote. Please scan this QR code and do your poll here. We'll quickly finish this thing. And what I'm going to do is, we don't have much time left, so I will open it for a Q&A, for the audience Q&A. And also, after that, we'll going to the final comments from my speakers. Quickly, we only have 3-4 people now. And track and trace, IoT, real-time monitoring is on the top. That's on the top. We have 8 people. Yeah. Okay, now we have more on predictive analytics coming on. Okay, great. Let's lock the poll here. So we have 2 answers sharing 44%. That is predictive analytics, and the track and trace IoT real-time monitoring is there. And then also we have AI ML for using for the route optimization, and we also have the sustainable transport and green logistics. Okay, thanks for the poll. Any questions from the audience? I'm like to take 2 questions. That's it. Any questions, please raise your hand. Yeah, I can see.
Hello. So myself Sujit Mishra, I am from Celsius Solution Logistics. So my question to Gaurav Bhatia is, so you deal with more than 1,000 SKUs. What are the good way of to getting the most accurate forecast? It is the really possible with help of 4,000 pin codes?
So, can I answer
Yeah,
now
okay.
itself? Okay. So yeah, it's possible. And I think supply chains are doing it with a lot of diligence. How to do it is a tough ask, but I think if I have to divide this answer into 2 parts, one is a good forecasting can always be done, one on the quantitative forecasting, which is by virtue of historical forecast. You have a history of sales, consumption, what you have been forecasting. So that's the stochastic part. Second is your qualitative part. So this does not end in the forecast that is given by the tool. You always have to validate, verify, and understand with the business team, because as I mentioned earlier, supply chain team or supply chain people are no magicians, right? So they will also have to understand what is happening on ground, whether my product or my azithromycin is selling or not, or somebody is entering or competitor is doing some other strategy. Only if you do both things hand in hand and deep dive into what's happening on ground in reality, I think then you can make a lot of difference. And last but not the least, I think it's equally important to bring skin in the game of both supply chain as well as your business partners, I can say, or business team members. They also need to own their forecast. Otherwise, I can say I want to grow by 30%, my season is coming, and I will have all the inventories produced, but not sell it, right? So it will lead to the other side of it, cash blockage of the organization and inventory blockage. And then you will try to give schemes and all the liquidation programs and everything. So I think it is important to have, if summarizing, stochastic quantitative forecast with your digital tools like the, I think panel also mentioned, digital platforms, very, very important. How do you deal it and how do you kind of use it to your best? Second, in terms of business collaboration, and third, getting their skin in the game as well. So I think that would be my answer.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I hope that answered your question. One more question I will take. Yeah.
Hi sir, myself Parthasarthi from Mom Pharmacy. My question is for everyone. So nowadays 10 minutes model is taking very market share, right? So is it applicable for pharma as well? So if yes, like what are the challenges from regulatory or operational challenge that we can face?
So maybe I can
Yeah.
try and. So one, I think, very good question, first of all. And I think if you ask me, I think it is most applicable to pharma. I sometimes wonder why people need dress in a few hours. That doesn't, I really fail to understand. People ordering food, I can still understand they are hungry. But I think market is getting spoiled. But in pharma, there is a genuine need. Like I was mentioning earlier, data point, if you heard it, 60% of Indian pharma or pharma sales come from acute therapy. What is acute therapy? It is antibiotics, it is your respiratory, it is your ophthalms, etc., which is needed kind of just in time. I am having severe cough and cold. I need the medicines right now. I can't wait for 2 days or 3 days. Either I will go down to my mom and pop chemist store, or I will order online and I want it in minutes or at least in hours, right? So it is most applicable business case, if I may say, to get my pharma products or my pharma medicines just in time or in express delivery rather than clothes and other things that you have the option on various platforms. Second, in terms of regulatory, yes, there are hurdles, there are challenges in terms of how do you deliver it. The last mile delivery, we have been all talking this 1 hour in terms of is the most critical one. So how do you deliver it with speed, but with all the compliances of cold chain, especially with injectables, your sterile products like Opthal, etc. They all need temperature monitoring. So while till the refer vehicles and all coming to your wholesalers and distributor, we own that network, right? But after that, we do not have a visibility or ownership. So how do you assure that? So I think that is important from a regulatory and a compliance perspective, because ultimately we are dealing with the life of patients. So it's very, very important to manage regulatory.
Understand, sir.
So just to add what Gaurav mentioned, one important point that all e-commerce platform who are looking to add business in the pharma is to maintain the GDP. The warehouse where they are storing the medicines has to be in compliance with the storage norms of the product.
Absolutely.
We have seen in the newspaper for one of the e-commerce how they are storing the food.
Correct.
That cannot be the standard for medicines. If for my mother, if I cannot use a substandard medicines, I cannot make that product available for the others. So here is a big challenge today. E-commerce are coming because they are seeing a margin of 20%, 25% and whatever numbers, but they have to ensure that they comply with the storage norms. Okay. They will be good in 10 minutes delivery, but in that 10 minutes delivery also, they have to carry a reefer bag to carry the insulin. Okay. They have to ensure their warehouse is 15 to 25 degree, cold room, cool room, all those compliances are there. So long way in India to come up this. Still, if you ask me, I will rely on the next door chemist shop because I can see how they are storing it.
Okay.
Yeah. That website, warehouse is something is a dark for pharma.
Okay. So one small question last. So is it good to go with existing chemist shop or go with our own mom and pop stores? If we are planning to do 10 minutes medicine delivery.
So I think that's an interesting question, and things are evolving onto it. Now I can just for a healthy debate, there is a counter view also. What happens to the mom and pop store after the closure. Do you know?
Exactly.
I don't know. Some of them I have personally visited, they switch off the entire power, even the refrigerator switched off. So what we are talking about in terms of cold storage, insulins, etc., they are all again in the dark room, right? So ensuring quality is very, very critical. And I would say that's not a challenge, that's an opportunity.
Okay.
I think if right players with the right, their heart being on the right place, if they ensure quality, there's huge way to go around it, right? So we have seen how Amazons and Flipkarts have been delivering groceries. Why not pharma, right? There is a lot of need from, genuine need from the patients, right? So there's a long way to go. There's a huge 30 billion market, we have been talking about it, right? 30 billion USD market we are sitting on, right? So even if you get 0.1%, I think you are changing the entire fate of the organization.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Just one point I'll add, referring to what Anand mentioned, that there's a lot of trust which is there for the nearby chemist, right? So the way the entire technological landscape is evolving, I believe that there are a lot of pilots which I can see happening at a very small scale, wherein even the local pharmacists are trying to develop their own apps and everything, right?
Correct.
Now with the overall the cost of this technological implementation as we speak and it evolves, it comes down. I believe that there will be a lot of opportunity even for the local chemist as well, wherein they can use different tools and models, and most importantly, since they have the trust, right? Because you have seen them, you have seen how they're storing medicines and everything. There's a lot of opportunity wherein they can actually compete with some of these big e-commerce players.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Very interesting question. Anything? Okay. So very interesting question. Very interesting observations. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Now let me get into the last part of the panel. I will give you very few minutes to for your closing comments. But Zuventus, it was founded in 2002. Focus on the acute therapies across pediatrics, gynecology, and general medicine. You have 3 manufacturing sites supporting 3 mother warehouses and then 24 warehouses in different states. And you are responsible for everything after manufacturing. What are the practical steps? I'm purely focusing on the solution side right now. What are the practical steps or digital tools or the tracking systems that you took initiative or that you came across, which you see are changing the market really? Let's get into the quick answer.
So of course, using QR codes and technology for at least bigger brands and critical brands, number 1. And number 2, using softwares that are available, but the challenge with the softwares is that the onboarding of the retail partners is onus of the manufacturer, number 1. The scalability is a question. So out of a population of almost 8 lakhs chemists, there are only a fraction of them which can be onboarded. So if this scalability is achieved, I think technological solutions are available which can be ramped up and used in this.
Okay. Anand, you also, JB Pharma has a very good penetration into the domestic market. You deal with a good number of distributors out there and channel partners, 6,000? Yeah. So give us an idea about what are the solution side that you are innovating and that you can see in the market.
So one is training at all levels. That is essential. Now training is not only how you sell it, training is how you handle it. That is number 1. Today, demand and forecasting, lot of tools are available on AIs and all. But what needs to be monitored is how your customer behaves to it. There should not be a variance in the sales from customer to customer or area to area. Yes, it will be because we are driven with certain regionality, but we have to monitor proper storing, proper availability at each level. And tie up with big players, where we can have a pin code wise visibility. There the demand planning can be much better, and we can have a reliability of the business. So these are the few advanced options that we should now, going forward, the supply chain team should take care of it, which will definitely improve the overall efficiency of the business.
Okay, thank you. Gaurav, your closing comments.
So I think rightly mentioned, I think digital tools will take a lot of importance. Humanly, I'm nowhere undermining the capability. It's about the capacity, right? What you can do in this limited hours, right? So it's about gaining more capacity and focusing on what really matters. So how you can do a lot of brain work, strategic work, whereas leave the transactional work to your ERPs and tools to do in terms of getting the right data, getting the right forecast, getting the right distribution plans, where to deliver what, etc. So I think tools will take. Second, your team members should feel part of that integration plan of the tool, right? So then they will take full ownership in terms of getting the right output and getting the most important, getting the right understanding of fully getting the benefits of that tool. I think that's most important. A lot of tools have been deployed by a lot of organizations, but they're not able to harness it to the fullest, if you ask me. Predictive analytics again flashed on the screen, but many organizations have just implemented it, but not yet taken full benefit of it, right? People still are talking about AI, etc., of GPTs of the world and Gen AI of the world, but I think we are yet far away to fully harness the benefits. So that needs a lot of training on prompt engineering and how do you kind of get the right data out of it. So that's my 2 cents.
Chintan, your closing comments.
Sure. So I believe, timing is the key. So in this entire chain, right, when is the data going to be available for the right decisions to be made? And for that, one of the important pieces that, I personally believe that at least the entire front end of the pharma chain, right, it's still operating completely manual. So I'm not even talking about, going towards AI and everything. As Gaurav mentioned that I believe that, we are still far away. Just having a basic integration in terms of just automating the order flow process itself. So right from the, the automation part of, the from front end, passing on, the information to the back end is going to be the key. And that's where, another important aspect comes is that, are the teams ready? Do we have the right talent in place to ensure that, who understands that this is a need to be done? So these are the 2 key elements in terms of the solution part I see.
Okay, Pabitra, your closing comments.
Yes, coming to this digital and predictive analytics, we in our company use it as a periodical data analysis. Not exactly predictive, we are not using now, because we depend on, we start our morning with an empty vehicle and we pray God that my customers' production should go up and I can get a filled vehicle in the evening. So sometimes we know averagely what we do in a day, but still we have a periodical analysis of our past data of our customers and present business of our customers' trend. Suppose I am doing with roughly 2 lakh customers. SME customers are more than 80%, 20% are corporate customers. So we know how their business is doing, they are doing from our own way of data calculation. And accordingly, and all the festivals and all, keeping in mind, we do increase our resources at the last mile as well as at sorting centers. Sorting centers are very important. At sorting centers like Delhi and Pune, we have installed automation of conveyor belt system which can handle 15,000 packages sorting per hour. This is one of a kind in India and we would like to do it in another 12 sorting centers. It's a capital intensive, but in the long run, that will help us in analyzing the data as well as for pharma sector specifically, which what we have learned is more in carton box of size maximum 2 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet, maximum is the size, otherwise is less than this. So our conveyor belt system is capable of sorting around 65 kg single package weight and 4 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet. It's a big dimensional. Normally in India, what we are seeing the conveyor system is for e-commerce companies up to maximum 5 kg or 10 kg. So this way, we are using automation as a one part for future proof, so that there will be the more and more pharma companies we can embrace and give them the best solution as they are growing demand, as well as understanding from the past data and the present business trend of my customers. We understand how they are going to ship us material. So this is how we are using, and we are using our own in-house ERP, as well as also we are taking help of big companies like Oracle and Zoho companies, and we are innovating our own resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Very interesting discussions. There are subjects that I really want to go in depth. For example, the return logistics of pharma, which Rajesh and Anand particularly mentioned. But because we don't have much time, we'll try to follow up these questions in our magazines and the stories that we do. Let's do that, the discussions. Or also, for example, the next frontier is the e-commerce and quick commerce of pharma. We should definitely go in depth for that as well. But thank you so much to all my panelists. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Indeed, thank you so very much.